Hello, Tennessee, and welcome to the Allon Exchange with Jay and Brittany Hagee. They are the co-founders of Allon Planning Partners right here in Tennessee. I'm your host, Spike Spangle, and our show is dedicated to helping you folks out there be and stay retirement ready. Jay, Brittany, it is so good to see you again inside the studio. Brittany, how are you doing today?
Doing great. Doing well today. How are you, Spike?
I'm doing very well. I know we've got a great program, a fun program, maybe even a spicy program for today. Jay, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic as of now. We'll see by the end of the
I know. So folks, you don't know what's going on. I will tell you right now what's going on. We are going to talk about today why it's so important for folks to be planning together.
Right.
Whether you were a couple or whether you were singles, on making sure that you put together a financial strategy. And sometimes I've heard couples don't always agree on what to do with their money.
We always
agree.
We always see eye to eye. Yeah.
I mean, there's that old statistic out there. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's ever been proven to be true. 50% of marriages end in divorce. One of the reasons is because of money.
Money's a big one.
But let's start, first of all, of course, with communication. Communication is very, very important.
That's right.
And between couples, sometimes it's difficult. Having a financial advisor, especially someone who plans on retirement planning, can help facilitate that conversation, right?
That's right.
Definitely.
Have you ever noticed the first time somebody's coming in that it takes a little bit for them to get comfortable talking about their financial situation?
Definitely. And sometimes when we're meeting with a couple, you can kind of sometimes see, okay, she doesn't like that, or he's not feeling that. You can sense
And
kind of the
some
tension.
couples will tell
sometimes.
you they don't like that.
Yeah.
We've been in a very uncomfortable situations for them, not for me, but we've been able to counsel people through some of those decisions that one spouse may not even know about the financial decisions that are being made. So.
Well, and disagreement is going to be normal. When you're not going to see eye to eye on everything, especially when it comes to your finances. We just had this experience recently when we were talking about purchasing a new car, and he had something in mind, and I had something a lot less in mind. And,
Inflation,
Oh, that's right.
I'm going to throw the flag on that. That's not
Those 20-inch spinners, that's not inflation, Jay.
That's not inflation. But we had to come together on that. We had to really sit down and process through, okay, let's talk through this, because when you're in a committed relationship, you care about what the other person wants. You care about how they feel. You care about what they're thinking and how they're processing. And so trying to make sure we give each other an opportunity to share, okay, so why is this important? Let's kind of talk through this. What are you expecting to spend? What do you have in mind? And coming together on...
And how does it fit our financial plan?
Yeah.
How does it fit
does
our
it
goals?
even fit in our financial... Is it within our budget? Does it overextend us?
Right.
Because for us in that scenario, we had some hard lines. We're not going to go into debt. We're going to stay out of debt. If it's beyond what we can, we're not doing it. If it's beyond
our financial plan.
And that's what we recommend to everyone. If it's beyond your means, please don't do it. Don't do it. Don't overextend yourself. Don't put yourself in that position. But absolutely, it's important to kind of process through that together and talk through together those goals and those those desires.
What do we
and
want
wishes.
that lifestyle to look like together?
Exactly.
Now, so a few of the ideas, timing of retirement together. So hopefully you're having these conversations maybe late 40s with people, even in their 50s, certainly by their 60s and so forth. Getting the age correct. Are we both retiring? How do you start talking about is it lifestyle first or the numbers first? Where do you start with the retirement planning?
Well, we kind of gauge it both ways, honestly. When we're looking at a couple, I had a couple last week come in, and one spouse was ready to retire 3 years ago, and one spouse says, no, you need to keep working because we have X, Y, and Z in our budget. The numbers didn't match, right? So we have to make sure the numbers match, but really we want to make sure that folks are getting what they want out of their retirement, and if they plan well, then we can make the budget match, right? We can work through that. Another couple had an argument with a lump sum of inheritance that they had. One of the spouses want to put it all into savings and we got to hold on to this money. The other spouse is like, well, we've got a lot of debt. I want to pay this off and I want to be debt free, and different ideas, right? It's about compromise, and it's about understanding clear communication strategies throughout your financial plan.
Yeah, seeking to understand how they feel rather than trying to push our agenda. And whether you're married or you're single, really the key is define some goals.
That's right.
What are your goals? for when you picture retirement? What's your lifestyle going to look like? Are you going to want to travel? Are you going to want to volunteer? Are you going to want to lounge and be on the beach? What is it that you want to do? And ensure that you have like vision, like goals if you are married. And if not, still have those down on paper. It's still really important to define those so that you have a way to make a plan. We can't help you get to where you want to be if you don't have those clearly defined goals in place.
Right, and I'll bet between couples, I'm sure a huge part of the conversation is anywhere between debt, savings, leverage. We've all been taught differently from
That's
our
correct.
own families, and now we've got to compromise
It's
this
tough.
together. Now, there is a difference, I know, between good debt and bad
That's
debt.
right.
Can you maybe explain the difference between that?
Yeah, I think using leverage to your advantage is not a bad thing. I mean, if you have a mortgage, that's not a bad debt because that is, an asset that you're not paying someone else later to live in, like a rent, right? So I think when you have good debt on your side, that is an asset working for you versus bad debt, I would say credit cards, things that are revolving debt, things like this, that may keep you in a place that puts you behind. Even student loans is good debt. It's going to put you and propel you into another career path or a better job where you can create more income, right? So there's not, not all debt is bad debt. And we have to correct that a lot of times. Even the way I was brought up, because I was taught that way, right? All debt's bad debt, and I've had to reprogram myself. Leverage yourself appropriately, right? To where you can utilize debt to create wealth.
All right.
That's the point.
Well, Brittany, I want to ask you though, how do you facilitate the compromise? I mean, when you've got both sides sitting, this is what I believe, this
Yeah.
is what I believe.
It's
We're
tough.
retiring at 62. No, we're going
Yeah.
till 65. No, we're going to spend the. Where do you come together
Yeah.
on a compromise?
It can be really tough. The participants have to be willing participants, right? You have to be willing to see eye to eye, or at least work towards a compromise. And for that couple that he mentioned a moment ago who had some debt and they were trying to determine if they're going to use a sum of money to pay off debt or to purchase something.
Or in savings.
Yeah, or that's what it was, to savings. And we, walked them through that, and they were willing participants, and they determined they would both give in that scenario. Now, that worked out pretty good. It doesn't always work that way. Sometimes the spouse gives to the other's wishes, and some, vice versa. Sometimes they end angry. it just depends. But there's always a solution. There really is. There's always a solution. Sometimes it may just take some time to process through that and determine what fits in your financial needs and the larger picture, and your wishes and your goals for that season.
Yeah, I would say whether you're married or on your own, you want to look at it, what she's saying, through the correct lens. And that
Right.
lens is, what's your financial goals and plans? Like, do you have a stable plan to begin with? Because most folks who have these type of arguments and have these type of interactions, we'll say, with each other,
Strong
or
disagreements.
disappointments in finances, is because they have no anchor. They have no plan. They can't go back to a correct
They don't know
lens.
what the goals are together.
They
Where
have
are we
no
headed
idea.
to? And say, hon, remember
It's
that
kind-
we're
it's
we're
kind of a
doing this.
free-for-all.
So
Yeah,
when we
instead
sit
of
with them as a financial counselor at this point, we're able to say, remember the lens, remember what we're looking at this through, and that's the financial plan that we put together. So where are those monies best used? Or can you retire this year or 2 years from now, right, with the financial dreams that you have and the financial goals that you have? We're able to bring a appropriate lens to the situation to where it can kind of calm the nerves a little bit. So don't be nervous if you come in to see us that we're going to not referee a fight well or something like that.
We're
between you.
used to that.
It's okay. We want to give you the correct lens to look through, and that's the financial plans that we provide so that you have peace about the decision that you make.
Right.
We're going to have to take a very short break right now, Jay and Brittany. Folks, if you would like your own complimentary review, if you would like to sit down with your own financial psychologist, with your planning partner, give us a call right here. And by the way, when we come back from the break, we're going to talk about why it's so important to do financial planning if you're single as
That's
well,
right.
especially moving into retirement. Both of them just as important. But for your own complimentary retirement plan review, or to get that process started, call the phone number you see right here, 866-691-7317. More of the Allon Exchange with Jay and Brittany Hagee right after this break.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Welcome back to the Allon Exchange with Jay and Brittany Hagee. They are the co-founders of Allon Planning Partners right here in Tennessee, a firm that is dedicated to help you with your retirement planning strategy needs. And if you don't have a strategy, you need to get a strategy. And that's exactly what we're talking about here today. Why it's so important to have a retirement strategy if you're married and if you're single. I would like to talk about that as well because there are just as many important elements. Let's talk about one of the things that we do know that's here around Tennessee. There are some organizations, very few, but some that provide pension plans. There's a few things we want to talk about to make sure we make elections there, correct?
Yeah, so go.
Yeah, the one thing that I want folks that have a pension plan to take a look at is to make sure that you're making those spousal elections early, right? That it's not, sometimes they get overlooked or sometimes you do not have them correctly designated. And so we want to make sure that we're electing for the spousal benefit and what portion that you want to go to your spouse after you are no longer there.
If that's an option.
If that's an option for you in your pension plan, you want to make sure that you're making that election early because we see that all the time where folks haven't made the appropriate election a lot of times for their situation.
Or made an election.
And so and so their spouse ends up losing out, unfortunately, just because something wasn't checked or marked.
The right boxes weren't marked.
Right.
Okay, now here's another one. Divorce. It happens. And if you haven't reviewed beneficiary designations from old accounts,
that can get sticky. Yeah, that can get. We recently handled that with a client. Anytime there is a big life change, take a look at your plan again. Take an overhaul. Look at it again and ensure that your beneficiaries are listed as they should be. Take a look and ensure that everything is in order, that you have covered all those bases, and that nothing needs to be adjusted based off of the scenario that you just experienced. And it could be good, it could be bad, could be a death, it could be a new job, could be a marriage or divorce like you mentioned. But any of those life changes should really trigger a, hey, I need to take a look at that. I need to reevaluate my plan and see if there's any necessary changes that need to be made because of this life change.
Right.
Right. And now I also want to ask about this. Somebody might say, look, I'm single, or maybe my partner has already passed away, and I'm 60, 62, 64. I don't think I necessarily need a financial plan. I've got a few $100,000 saved. I've got my Social Security. The house is paid off. Is it important for them to have a financial plan?
I would say it's probably more important at that point to have a financial plan because remember, it's not just talking about your investments and your risk and your fees. It's not just talking about the income that we're going to help you provide through a distribution plan. It's not just talking about the taxes that we're going to help you save, right? Which is going, with inflation out of control, we want to save as much money as we can. We're going to also talk about estate planning. We have an estate planning law attorney that is in our facility that when folks meet with us, we are allowing them to ask those types of questions too that say, okay, when I'm no longer here, or I have a bucket of assets left when I am passed away, or if I'm not able to make those due to a health condition decisions any longer for myself, who's making those decisions? I think it's more important for those who are on their own now, or maybe newly on their own, to come to that decision-making process of having a plan in place so the state
Right.
is not making those
And
decisions
some of those
for you.
forms you need to be thinking about that need to be in place are a durable power of attorney for healthcare, a
right.
durable power of attorney for financial. Those are some key pieces and key documents that whether you are married or you are on your own, you need to have those in place so that, as Jay mentioned, if you are incapacitated and cannot make decisions on your own, that your spouse or whoever you name in your stead could withdraw funds from your accounts or handle those decision-making things regarding your health care
Right.
so that, you know, the doctors or government or whoever is not making those decisions regarding your finances or your health care.
Are these tricky or very expensive documents to put together?
No, not in our
Typically?
experience. We have
Typically
not found
not.
that. It's very
Right.
simple. You know, we have a great attorney that works hand in hand with us, and he's able to walk you through the process of creating these documents so that it's very simple. It's very simplified. You make sure all of your assets are covered, so that way they're not passing through the system and going to probate and getting you in a position to where the state is making these decisions for you. It's an easy process. It can seem daunting, but I would suggest everyone have this in order.
Jay and Brittany, if somebody are walking by the television right now and they're tuning into your program for the first time, you are Allon Planning Partners. Would you tell me a little bit of the origin of the firm? You know, more specifically, what is the story behind Allon? A lot of people would use wealth or something to do with money or retirement planning. Allon Partners, what is that about?
Absolutely, Allon Planning Partners. Allon is actually the Hebrew word for oak tree. And so when we think about plans that we want to put together for the families and individuals we work with, we want them to be solid and sturdy. Oak tree is a great symbol for that. It's a deep-rooted symbol of stability. Those are the kinds of plans we want to put together, plans that thrive in every season because those roots grow down deep. And they can, even in times of famine, even in times of drought, those roots can grow down deep and take the sustenance and the water to be able to produce the fruit that's necessary for each of those seasons. So that's kind of the comprehensive view that we want to take when putting a plan together.
Yeah,
for our
and as
clients.
well as you see the partners part, right? We want to truly partner with families. We don't.
We're on the same side
We
of
want
the
to be on the
table
same side of the
as
table as
you.
our families.
Exactly.
We don't want to be working for a big box firm who is pushing financial products. That's not my heart. That's never the direction that I wanted to go. So we started Allon Planning Partners to say, how can we partner with families in our community to help them make better financial decisions so that they grow and so that they have these deep-rooted plans so that they can
Right.
flourish and
Where
blossom.
we can link arms. That's what we want to do with those we work with. Link arms, truly partner up and say, hey, we're on your team. We're on your side. Let's work together to help you get to where you want to be.
And in this environment, there's a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. There's a lot of market volatility. There's a lot of craziness, right? So we wanted to exchange that with security. And how do you do it? How do you take uncertainty and change it with security? Well, you have a plan. You have a plan in place that can be also fluid, that can help us get to the places we want to be within our retirements. And so we want to partner with folks well, and we want to create long-lasting plans to get them to their desired destination.
Yeah, which provide creative solutions. So many people say, man, I just have this problem. I can't figure it out. I can't get through. What do I do about this? There's always another way to look at it. There's always a solution. And that's what we like to do, is really analyze your specific situation and come up with creative solutions to help you overcome or work through whatever it is that you're facing with, regarding your finances.
Brittany,
That's what we
Jay, I'm
offer.
going to have to take a very short break. Thank you for that
Great.
answer. Literally, it was quite beautiful. Folks, if you would like your own complimentary retirement plan review or to get started, give us a call right here, 866-691-7317. More with Jay and Brittany Hagee. They are the co-founders of Allon Planning Partners. We're talking about the importance of why you need a retirement plan if you're a couple or if you're single. And then I want to ask them, who do they go to when they need a financial psychologist? Who's their referee
Oh,
when
we
we get
have
back
one.
right after this break?
When was the last time you saw your financial professional? Are you getting the most out of the strategy that was created for you? Although you've done a great job finding someone to help plan for your future, are you 100% sure that you were given the right strategy? We can help answer these questions and more with a complimentary second opinion evaluation. We will take a look at what you have in place and then help determine if you're well positioned to get the most out of your future retirement income. In the event that it is not, we can help by making suggestions and showing you how to get on the right path. You wouldn't get just one opinion when it comes to a major health decision, so why would you treat your most important financial decision with such disregard? Call today for your no-cost, no-obligation second opinion evaluation to see if you're getting the most out of your retirement income plan.
Welcome back to the Allon Exchange with Jay and Brittany Hagee. I'm your host, Spike Spangle. We're talking about your retirement planning needs for right here in Tennessee. And today's program is really dedicated to why we need a financial strategy, both if we're married and perhaps if we're single. Let's move on to the concept of Social Security, because we're hearing a lot about this in the news right now. Is it going to be there 10 or 11 years from now? It's an important component, because if one of us is making the decision to take it early, it will affect our partner as well. And there's a lot of information, I'm going to say misinformation about Social Security. So let's kick that off. When do you start it? Are you of the base camp of take it as soon as you can, or wait, or does it depend?
Well, first off, the question about whether it will be here.
Because
let's
hit there.
That's what I get a lot. You know, I get a lot. Are we going to continue having Social Security, or is it going to change, right? And although I don't have a crystal ball, I do believe that our government will have an uprising if we don't have a way to pay the people who have put into this system years and years and years. So that would be the last category, I think, that would go away completely. Now, will it change over the generations? I believe it has to. I believe the Social Security Trust Fund can only last so long if they do not make changes to it. And my Social Security is going to look different than my parents and my grandparents did. It just will. But I do believe that we will have Social Security when it's going to be there for us. I just believe it'll look much different. So I try to give people a little peace of mind there, because that's something that is always brought to my attention when we're teaching these workshops. Like, why are we talking about this? It's probably not even going to be here in 10 years, right? And I do believe
And it's an
it
easy
will.
thing to say, and we are hearing it on the news programs and so forth. The difference that I like to point out with Jay and Brittany is, yes, we're also on broadcast television, but Jay and Brittany are actually financial planners who help people like yourself every single day in their offices. So it's easy to have a reaction and go, Social Security is not going to be here, but you need to be more realistic about it.
Yeah, and really Social Security is a piece of one of the core components of a plan, because what we want to do when you get to the place of retirement, we want to help you build separate income streams so that you're not just dependent on Social Security alone, or maybe your 401k alone, but that you have multiple income streams to pull from when you get to that place. And so to your question about do we recommend filing early or waiting? It really is different for every scenario, every individual, and that is because their assets are different. Assets look different, and they may not have to pull as much from Social Security in the beginning, because they have other assets they could draw from, or or vice versa. So it really is customized, and especially when you're talking about couples versus those who are on their own, because when you are married, you have options available to you for filing, because you could claim on your spouses, and you could take half of your spouses once they file if it's larger than yours, and there's all kinds of different strategies that we can help which we can help you process through those and determine which one may be best fit for you in light of all of your assets.
And I do want to hit one thing on that, is because a lot of folks always come back to us and say, well, you can't really maximize Social Security, or I have a lot of assets, they're not going to let me maximize. Well, we're actually talking to you, the ones who have multiple assets, buckets, and income streams, because you can take advantage of a lot of Social Security maximization strategies that others can't. So if you have assets, please talk to us, because we can help you maximize your Social Security.
Right. It's almost like the more that you have, the more that you can let it delay and grow and grow and grow. And you can use from your other asset buckets. I also say it is just as important for folks who are maybe right on the cusp. Maybe we've got a few $100,000 in savings, the house is paid off, we're not helping the kids out, with their finances anymore, because they have to maximize every dollar as well. And it's kind of trying to figure out, and this is what Retirement Planning Partners is all about, is figuring out which accounts do we take from first, how do we maximize, what do we let grow.
It's like a chess game. It's like a chess game. You really do have to implement some strategy. It's not just like, oh, let's grab from here, let's grab from there. Whenever
push this one.
It really does take some strategy if you want to make the most of what you have. And that's what we like to do, is help our clients make the most of what you have. Let's not just pull from here just randomly and, oh, we'll think about taxes later. Let's put a plan in place
That's
so
right.
that you don't have these unexpected tax bills show up in your mailbox, or, you know, get caught off guard by things that you hadn't thought about before. Let's plan for some of these, so that gives you really peace of mind, ease when you think about your financial situation. You're not up at night because you're stressed out. Can I retire? Have I made enough?
Can we stay retired? Is the
Yes.
money
Can I
going
stay
to last?
retired?
Is it going
Yes.
to last
Good
for
question.
me and my spouse?
That's right.
Lastly, I would like to ask you just a little bit about estate planning today. Again, couples and singles. Is it important for someone who is on their own to be doing estate planning as well?
Yeah, and Brittany listed a few of the forms that we would say
Right.
you
The
need
documents
to
we
have
recommend
in place.
definitely are
you know,
important.
for financials, power of attorney for financial, for healthcare,
Healthcare.
and a basic living will.
At least
and you may even
living
need a
will.
trust. I mean, so there are different documents that we can help you walk through, and don't be overwhelmed by it. That's what we love to do, and we love to help people get to the appropriate documents. But if you are on your own, or you found yourself on your own
Maybe
recently,
newly on your own.
please take a look at that, because more than not, if you don't have an estate plan together, the state, which is the government, is going to tell whatever's left in your accounts how to act, where to go, what buckets that they go to, instead of your wishes.
Somebody will make that
coming to light.
decision for you.
Exactly, for you.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
the key point on it. Now, a lot of folks will say, well, I've got a will. Aren't we covered?
Yeah, well, you could be, but the will, and there again, I'm not an estate attorney, so I don't want to give
That's
legal
why we have one in our
advice.
office, though.
We
that,
do
that
have
can,
one in our
that
office.
can provide this advice. You
But
know, with regard
your
to these
assets that aren't beneficiary designated can still go through probate. Even with a will.
And probate is a public
process, which anyone has the right to claim those funds
And a
and
lot
to
of
make a claim
times,
against them.
probate can take 18, 20 months, up to 2. I mean,
Right.
it's not
Very
just like a quick.
So, I mean, just think
process.
about it. Between your brothers and sisters, has anybody ever argued? You know, and how do you, if you've got 3 kids, how
That's
do you
right.
split up, you know,
It
the
can get
vacation
messy.
house where
That's right.
2 of you live in state and maybe one of you is across the
That's
country?
right.
It's very difficult, so you want to make sure you have those conversations. It's legally written down. We're going to have to wrap up our program today. It seems like
Okay.
couples-wise, we've done very well. That you two are still
tried to work
together.
through it.
on
We're
the
still
same
We're still
page.
together.
good. Yeah.
But please talk about the complimentary review, why it's so important for folks out there to get a retirement plan.
It's very important that you would take the time to look at your investments, how you're invested, so you make sure the risk tolerance is right for you and that the fees aren't overwhelming. You want to look at your income plan. Now, you've done a lot in your life to get to the place where you are in retirement or near retirement to make sure that you've accumulated assets. We want to make sure you have a good distribution plan in place as well. Have that estate plan that we talked about. Make sure that you have the right documents in place, that your funds go to the place that you want them to go after retirement, after you are no longer here. So we just would ask that you come in to us and give us that chance to look at your review.
Thank you so much for watching the Allon Exchange. Call right now so you can get your own complimentary retirement review.